Hey, testing.
Well, I heard Laura, so I'm hoping she can hear me and maybe that's good. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, Dave.
Thank you. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's currently 1 o'clock. We will get started in just a few minutes, give an opportunity for others to join. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome and thank you for joining us for the State Water Resources Control Board's Recycled Water Permits, Fees, and Stakeholder Meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through the Zoom and webcast platforms and is also being recorded. My name is David Ceccarelli, and I'm the Fee and Revenue Branch Chief within the Division of Administrative Services. Also joining us today and presenting is Laura McLeland and Rebecca Greenwood from the Division of Water Quality. Today, we have many of the Fee and Revenue Branch staff working behind the scenes to ensure that this meeting runs as smoothly as possible. If any time throughout this event you find that you are having technical difficulties, please email us at feebranch@waterboards.ca.gov. Individuals attending via Zoom, please use the raise the hand function if you'd like to ask a question or provide a comment. If you are joining us through the webcast, you can also submit a comment or ask a question by emailing us at feebranch@waterboards.ca.gov. In the past, there have been some delays in the broadcast through the webcast. Therefore, through the meeting, staff may pause so the broadcast can catch up to the listeners. Again, we thank you for joining us virtually today. We thank you for your patience as we've moved into this 100% virtual meeting space. We're doing our best to ensure everyone can participate in an effective way. So I'd just like to go over a couple of meeting guidelines. Remember to use the handouts that were sent to you via email. If you do not have the handouts, don't worry, we'll be sharing the documents on the screen. You can request a copy of the documents after the meeting, or the handouts are posted on the Water Board's fee webpage. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. And finally, when it's your time to speak, please introduce yourself and who you represent. At this time, let's review the agenda. So we're going to have, this is again we'll talk about the number of meetings that we've had. This is our third meeting. And so our presentation involves the fee development process, stakeholder feedback, updated fee option. We'll move into an open discussion. And finally, we'll talk about next steps. Next slide, please. And I'm going to toss this to Rebecca. Good afternoon, Rebecca.
Thanks, David. Hi, my name is Rebecca Greenwood. I'm an engineering geologist with the Recycled Water Unit, and I'm thankful for everybody to be here today to continue these discussions I just wanted to tee up a little bit about our fee development process and our timeline and give a little bit of a snapshot of where we've been and where we're going to get this fee development wrapped up. So we did start back in April with our first recycled water stakeholders fee meeting, and where we were proposing a few different options. Those were options A, B, and C in April. We then did some revisions based on comments and provided another revision to the options for a D and E option. And we are now here in July, and we are presenting our newest option F, which hopefully will be something that is good for our discussion today. But looking forward, we're going to have one more water quality fees meeting, which is the general meeting that the fees unit holds in August. And then this is all driving towards the adoption of the fee schedule in September from the State Water Board. So that meeting will be, I think it's tentatively scheduled for September 18th. Keep on your calendars. But we've been developing this option for recycled water fees due to a cleanup in the water codes for 13267 and 13523 to be able to have the explicit authority to charge these fees. And those are what our options have gone through so far. And you can review any of the previous webcasts and our handouts from the fees stakeholders website available on our water board's website. But that's kind of where we're going. And then I will quickly share on the next slide a little bit about some of the feedback that we have received. And then we will pass it off to Laura to share the final option that we're presenting today. So our number one top comment was that we would like to make sure that we were able to kind of share the fees broadly across a lot of stakeholders to make sure that we were not impacting or not promoting recycled water. The rest of these we have listed on the slide were all things that we came into had been commented and things we took into consideration when developing the rest of the options. But with our newly proposed option F, we just wanted to point out that it would help spread fees a little bit more broad. So with that, we could go to the next slide and I'll pass it to Laura to discuss our option F.
Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. Great. So as Rebecca mentioned, the overwhelming feedback we heard on the prior options was a request to spread the fees more broadly than just amongst the recycled water permittees, and instead have them apply to wastewater facilities regardless of recycling status. But we do need to still assess fees for recycling. So with this new approach, rather than trying to fund a specific number of staff or the resources that it takes to that we were given it as a part of the BCP that kind of drove this process, instead we are looking at the ongoing workload that the regional boards have in administering these permits once they're adopted. So things like inspections, report review, compliance assistance, enforcement in some cases. That's kind of the bulk of the ongoing staff workload for these different permits. And so we did a process of surveying our regional board staff and gathering feedback on what that ongoing workload looks like, and use that to develop these annual permit costs. So to just kind of go through what this means, there are kind of two buckets of recycled water permits. There are recycled water permits that include production requirements, so treatment requirements for the production of the recycled water. That's the top table. And then there are also permits that don't include treatment requirements, but do include requirements for the distribution or use of the recycled water. A lot of those permits are enrollees under the statewide 2016 Recycled Water General Order. But there are a handful of individual permits under that lower table as well. And so under this proposal, if the permit includes treatment requirements, then they would fall under the top table. And any permit that includes potable recycled water requirements would have this potable fee as a surcharge onto, if it's an NPDES permit, onto the NPDES fee or onto the WDR fee that the permittee is already paying for the WDR or the NPDES permit. And then similarly, if there were production requirements or treatment requirements for non-potable recycled water, they would have a $2,800 annual surcharge on their WDR or NPDES fee. If they were also enrolled under the statewide general order, then there would also be a standalone $1,500 annual fee for enrolling under that order, having a permit for just the distribution and use of the recycled water where there are no treatment requirements. So I think on the next slide, we have a couple of examples of how this could look. Okay. So the top part of the table just repeats what you saw on the prior slide, that there would be a $1,600 annual surcharge for potable facilities or potable permits and a $2,800 annual surcharge for non-potable. So in the first example, we have a waste discharge requirements permit that includes recycled water as a part of that permit. They have a rating of threat to water quality and complexity of 2B. So their base fee under the 23-24 amounts would be $26,785. And then if they were also producing potable recycled water, they would have 16,000 added to that 26,785 for a total of 42,785. If instead they were producing non-potable recycled water, not potable, then they would have 2,800 added to the 26,785 for a total annual fee of 29,585. So that's the first example. The second example is if they were an NPDES facility with a design flow of 2.5 million gallons per day, and they do have recycling requirements in their NPDES permit. Their base fee under the NPDES permit schedule would be $19,384. If their permit was for potable recycled water, then the new total would be $35,384. If instead it was for non-potable, their new total with the surcharge would be $22,184. And then there's also examples where there isn't an existing NPDES or WDR permit that would get a surcharge, but instead the water recycling requirements are their own separate permit. So in the third example, there would be a standalone water recycling requirements permit that does include production. In that case, that permit is not currently paying an annual fee. Their new annual fee would just be that amount of 16,000 for potable or 2,800 for non-potable. So there are a handful of permits in the state that fall into this third category. It's not as common, but it does exist. And so this is how we would propose to address that type of permit. And then the final example is just if you were an enrollee under the 2016 general order for the distribution and use of recycled water, but not including the production, then you would be paying a base fee of $1,500 per year. So we would not be doing, I think the current approach is to use the WDR threat to water quality and complexity rating for that order. We would be proposing to replace that scheme with just this $1,500 base fee for distribution and use of the recycled water. So I ran through that kind of fast. I bet there are questions. This is essentially what we wanted to share with you and get your input on. And so I think I'll just open it up. And Dave, I don't know if you want to take over facilitation if we had any more slides or handle questions that come up, but
Yeah, let's
I'm
go.
happy to do it also.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take questions at this time. I see Sharon Green, your hand is up. So good afternoon, Sharon.
Hi there. Thanks for convening the meeting and sharing this information. Yeah, I had one or two clarifying questions, maybe just, I think you've been pretty clear, but just to make sure. One question is if a facility produces water for both potable and non-potable use, how would that work? I think that would be kind of my main question. I think you answered the other ones I had already. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so if they produce both potable and non-potable, the surcharge would just be for the potable amount. If it's one permit that includes everything, it would be the higher of the two.
Hey, good afternoon, Bob. You have your hand up?
Yeah, yes, I do. Let me lower it. Just as a generic consideration, and truly with all due respect, if I'm a city that's kind of strapped and I want to get kudos for doing recycling, and I can flip the switch between potable and non-potable, why do I want to pay extra? This is kind of this is killing me. This is a reverse incentive. The costs have to be paid. The program has to break even from the water board side. But if there's a way you can simplify this and reverse engineer a common number to reimburse you to get the program up, it would be, to me, from a policy and commonweal basis, it'd be so much better than this complexity and downright penalty for doing the right thing. It's and I know you've walked through this. I just wanted to raise it so it's considered at some point. And this is from the perspective of general policy background, but also our clients from the Gualco Group, which are irrigation districts, cities, and ag as well. So it's got a diverse input. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm babbling. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment, Bob.
Steve, do you want to respond to that, or do you want me to address it?
Yeah, if you want to address it, go ahead, Laura.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's tough choices. I think there is significantly higher workload from the program staff. And with potable facilities over non-potable, it's quite a bit more challenging to permit and oversee those types of projects because there is a much higher risk to public health associated with those types of projects. And so this is, quite frankly, the very low end of the amount of work that it takes to oversee that kind of permit. So it's really an apples and oranges situation. It's not easy to switch between doing potable and non-potable. If a project is already doing non-potable and they're considering doing potable, it's a years long permitting process. And so, yeah, definitely hear you on wanting to continue to incentivize this as a resource. But what we've been talking about from the get-go is really wanting to level the playing field across different permit types. And there had been quite a bit of kind of weird incentives for using certain permits over other permits in ways that were challenging for regional board staff to implement. And so this solution is aimed at addressing those imbalances and kind of leveling the playing field.
Hey, good afternoon, Rosario. Your hand is up.
Hello. I just wanted to say thank you. I know we've been through a lot of iterations already, and I just don't want to get to option Z, right? So thank you for all of your responsiveness to some. We obviously were focused on making sure we weren't duplicating fees and just trying to not disincentivize recycled water. So we do feel like we're on the right track. I will take this back to our membership. I did want to get some clarification. Are these fees just for this fiscal year? And will they basically be open to increase next year immediately? Or how does your cycle work? I just wanted to make sure I understood, like, are we okay for a while or will this be reopened immediately? And just, I assume they're subject to some sort of escalation process. And I wondered if you could explain just your methodology with that as well.
Yeah, I'll take that one. And if we could just move to the slide right before this one, our proposal here. And so these are the fees that we're proposing and taking to the board for their consideration and adoption in September, which would be for fiscal year 24-25. Of course, every year, when the budget comes out, we do have standard cost increases in what we refer to as our healthcare, retirement, employee compensation. Those range anywhere between 4 and 6%. And of course, depending on how our reserve looks and so forth. But you could anticipate that these fees here, again, on a range would go up around 4 to 6% every year. Does that help answer your question? Okay. And then like all of our programs in the that we take, through the stakeholder process, our first stakeholder meetings are usually held in March, and then at that time we have the governor's proposed budget, so we have some sense of what the budget is, and we start kind of walking through the cost drivers and the numbers, and then as we get to the May revise, which may include additional BCPs, but starts to kind of get us close to what we think the budget's going to look like. We'll have those discussions, and not just water cycling fees, but all of our programs within the water quality program. And again, we try to spread those percentages out to all programs. So again, in a range of between 4 and 6%.
Well, then I will regularly see you in March then, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sharon, you have your hand up?
Yeah, another question kind of occurred to me, which kind of came up for me back when we were at the water quality fee stakeholder meeting in June, which is when you do your kind of overview table of all the, WDRs, NPDS, et cetera, all the different categories. Would this show up in that at all, or how do you anticipate that, because with these surcharges, and I know you have one, you have a surcharge for pretreatment, and in the past, a long time ago, you used to have not, what was it called? The swamp surcharge, the monitoring surcharge before you guys folded that in. But it's a little harder to indicate that, right? In the way you normally break things out and to give everybody the big picture. So how should we think of, or, expect to sort of see it in context?
So yeah, the revenue that we're going to be collecting from this permit is going to be spread out to just the overall NPDS and the WDR program. So kind of like the pretreatment surcharges on those programs also, that money gets rolled up into those programs also. Swamp and Gamma, though, that's more of a foundational program. So all the programs within the water quality program, take a share of that. But these, as we're looking at it, this is additional fee revenue that's going into both the WDR and the NPDS program. So it'll get as we, I think I mentioned this a little bit at the June meeting. We're calculating on, generating additional revenue from this, which helps offset WDR and NPDS permits by about 1% or somewhere around there.
Okay, thanks.
There are no email questions at this time. I'm just kind of looking around the room to see if there are any other questions. Hey, good afternoon, Claire. You are up next. Good afternoon.
Hi, David.
Hello.
Hi, Laura. Claire Johnson with Orange County Water District. I just wanted to reiterate what others have said about, thank you for going through this process with us. Really appreciate it. I was just curious, when you set those numbers, did you have like a specific total in mind that you kind of backed into these numbers? And I think I sort of understand perhaps where they came from based on what you just said, David, that it will just fall into the general pool of WDR and MPDS permit fees. So it's not like there's a specific number of PYs that you're targeting anymore per se. It's more just a general workload number. But I was just wondering if you could comment on that.
Yeah, and I mean, I can also pass this on to Laura. I mean, basically what these fees are determined by basically the level of effort of work that staff is going to be spending on each of these activities annually. And so Laura can chime in here, but kind of looking at the different factors of what it takes to oversee one of these permits versus the potable versus non-potable.
Yeah. Yeah,
go ahead, Laura.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we based it on estimates that we used to develop the budget change proposal originally, which was based on surveys with all of the 9 regional board staff on how long it takes to conduct various permitting and oversight activities for these types of projects. And then we kind of revisited those numbers and reached back out to the regional board staff to verify them and get input on them. But yeah, it is an estimate. It's based on our best judgment of how long it takes to conduct various activities, knowing that there's a wide range of types of permits and complexity of permits, as well as different approaches to permitting and oversight at each of the different regions. So this is an aggregation of a lot of different information we received. But yeah, it's not targeting a specific number. It's based on that estimated workload.
Claire, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a follow-up on that. um, so I know you sent out, Laura, a kind of preliminary list of permits that you had pulled from CWIX that these fees would be assessed on. And I think you were still going through the process of perhaps verifying some of those with the regional boards. Is that process still ongoing?
Yeah, it is. And yeah, we will probably be completing that process early fall, like September, even into October timeframe. So yeah, we don't have an updated list for you, but I think what we sent you a while back or what you've seen before is probably fairly close, but yeah, we still need to do that verification.
Okay, thank you. If we have any specific corrections, can we just send them to you or suggestions on that
Sure,
list?
yeah. I've been compiling the ones that I've seen. But yeah, feel free to continue to send.
Thank you.
Okay, so Sharon, go ahead.
Yeah, just another quick question about the billing, which I think traditionally has been done in the fall, like November-ish after the regs are finalized. And then I remember there was a provision added, I think it was last year's regs, where you could divide, you could bill later or maybe divide it. I just wondered, I'm assuming this will just go with the standard billing. It's just mostly for planning because there have been comments among the water recycling community about oh my God, the standard thing of why is this done so late? It's already in the fiscal year and how can we plan for this? And, all of those kinds of thoughts. But I think, we know the process is usually can't be completed till after the budget's signed, right? So anyway, just for planning purposes, if you can just kind of talk about the implementation process once the regs are approved.
Yes, our, our standard NPDS and WDRs usually do go out in November. And the invoice will have then a surcharge line item with the water recycling permit surcharge. So that would be added on. So it'll be one invoice. So that's kind of the standard timeline. No email questions at this time. Rosario, you have your hand up.
I just wondered if someone has specific questions related to their specific situation, is it best for them to reach out to both you and Laura, or what's the best way to handle that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely include me and Rebecca and then also the fee branch email. And Rebecca and I can respond from the like permit side. But then yeah, fees folks will need to respond from the fees side, kind of depending on the nature of the question.
Perfect. Thank you.
So let's move down on the slides here. I think it gets us to the open discussion. And then so basically, what are our next steps here? So we are asking for comments based on the proposal that you saw today and that was sent out, which is we're referring to as proposed option F. And though you can submit comments to feebranch@waterboards.ca.gov. And then our next water quality fee stakeholder meeting will be August 1st. We'll also have an item on that agenda discussing these permit fees and give us an opportunity to read the comments, and if there's something that we can go ahead and amend or it gives us an opportunity, then we'll take that opportunity and have those discussions at the August 1st water quality fee stakeholder meeting. And then finally, we are driving to the September 18th board meeting for the board's consideration and adoption of a fee schedule. And again, which would include these water recycling permit fees. And those that have been involved with the process will know that 10 days prior to the September 18th, the agenda items will be posted and you'll have an opportunity to comment and we'll go through the whole process through the comment period. And then of course, the item will be heard tentatively, let me just say tentatively on September 18th, but that's the date that that we've been told for now. And if you haven't, through our LIRIS list, there's what's called the water quality fees list. If you haven't signed up for that, please sign up for that. That's where you can get notifications and updates through all of our board items, or at least that are specific to the water quality fees. Bob, you have your hand up?
I did. Perhaps if it's possible, you could do another distribution that combines all of the options into a visual that you could see and compare. Yeah, I know I've shuffled the papers together, but if you could combine them, and I don't know if it's possible, if Phil will let you, but if you could say, and the staff is leaning this way, or of the 6 options, we tend to favor these, or something that indicates which way we're headed It'd be helpful, not essential, but it sure would be nice. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk with program and see what we can do. I think, I mean, I'm speaking for, unless program wants to chime in, but I at this time, staff's proposal is option F, what we're proposing today. So after hearing all the comments and incorporating those, at this point, this is what we are trying to move on and would be presenting to our board at the September 18th meeting at this time.
Yeah, just echo that. And yeah, option F is trying to address the comments that we received on the prior options. And yeah, so it's sort of an iteration thereof. But yeah, F is the one that we're looking for comments on currently.
And I know, Bobby, you said you were shuffling through the papers, and I understand they're not in all one whole document. On our fee stakeholder website, the meeting recordings are there, and also each handout, of course, had the options in them. Of course, that they're split now between 3 different meetings. But again, we'll coordinate with program staff and see if there's something we might be able to kind of put together and put up on the website. Okay, well, I don't see any other. Oh, I do. Rosario.
I just wanted to make a point that we all try to move forward, right? So I think if we were to put out a formal document with options A through E, I will get a bazillion emails, and then in turn I will contact you with all of those people that are going to be on the alert. So however, I obviously trust you to go moving forward, but I just wanted to kind of I understand the desire to have a compilation, but I don't want to confuse people in terms of that. But that's just a little note that I think folks will be kind of they're back with the other ones, and I'd like us to focus on moving forward. F is for moving forward, right? So that's just a little thought, so we avoid some influx into our inboxes.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. Okay, so I am not seeing any more questions online, and I want to thank everyone for their participation today, taking the time to join us. Thanks program staff, all their hard work. Also want to thank fee staff, and also thank Sarah Fong for putting the presentation together. Again, our next meeting will be on August 1st at 9 a.m. We'll be discussing all the water quality fee programs, including the water recycling permits. With that said, we can sign off. And again, everyone have a great day and a great rest of your week. Thank you.
Thanks for your participation.